Hey, Hunters. Halo Zoo here, back for more D&D 5.5 stuff. I apologize for how long this has taken. Wizard has turned out to be easily the hardest class to make when it comes to the 5.5 stuff. And mostly because the traditions are just difficult at points, as they each got 2 new features, and some of them were harder than others. And as you'll see, I haven't even finished it yet. There's 5 features that haven't been done, 4 of which are master features for Enchantments, Illusion, Necromancy, and Transmutation, while Transmutation doesn't have a 3rd level feature right now. So keep in mind, this is the only class thus far that is unfinished, partly because I don't know what to do with it at this point. But anyway, let's get on to the class itself. So at first, you start with 3 cantrips still, go up to 6 now at 15th level. But in first level, you have your Arcane Tradition now. That's now 1st level, which means you basically start with your main feature, with one exception. There's, I think, one exception to where you don't get it, and that's Necromancy, but that's because they get a new feature. But anyway, there's also Spellcasting, Arcane Recovery in your Spellbook, so pretty much everything that was there before, still there. 2nd level, you have Tweak Spells, a new feature, kind of based off what Scribe's Wizard did, but not as powerful. 3rd level, you get a Tradition feature now. 4th, ability score increase in feats, so you don't have anything. 5th level, Versed in the Arcane, which is a new passive feature you get. 6th level, you get a Tradition feature. 7th level, you get Scribe Scrolls, which I think you can tell what that one's going to be about. But anyway, so 8th level, ability score increase in feats, so 9th level, you get a signature spell now. That has been moved way earlier, and this is the 2nd level signature spell. 10th level, you get a Tradition feature. Then 11th level, you get your first Spell Mastery spell. So Spell Mastery is still first level spells only. Signature spell, you now have a 2nd and a 3rd level, with the first one being 2nd level at 9th. Originally, I had these 2 swapped, but I decided to change it to where every other level you get one of the 2. It alternates, and I decided that Spell Mastery maybe should be a bit later. But anyway, 12th, ability score increase in feats, so you don't get anything from there. 13th level, you get Improved Tweak Spells, which is just an expansion on your regular Tweak Spells. 14th, you get a Tradition feature. 15th, you have the 3rd level signature spell now. So 16th, ability score increase in feats. 17th, Pinnacle Spell, which is just when you cast a 9th level spell, something awesome happens. 18th is the 2nd Spell Mastery. 19, ability score increase in feats. 20th is your final Tradition feature, and One with Magic, which is a new feature baseline to Wizards. So, speaking of baseline Wizard stuff, what's changed? Well, their starting HP is no longer crap. They are one of the 2 classes that perhaps benefits the most from the change, where you now add your con score, which will over double your starting HP from what it was. As the lowest you'd have on average is like 7 or 8, so now your starting HP is like 16 minimum. But yeah, that should help Wizard a lot. Proficiencies, no armor still. Weapons, you have the dagger, dart, quarterstaff, and sling. They did lose light crossbows, because I always found that kind of annoying that they had it and stupid. So you lost it, but yeah. You also now get calligrapher supplies as a tool. I decided to add that as just like, hey, here's a tool that's like, it kind of fits your class. Saving throws, still int whiz. Skills, still Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, and Religion, and you pick 2 of those. Spellcasting, pretty much same as before. Int is your spellcasting ability, and I forgot to highlight that properly. There we go. You still use an Arcane Focus, get cantrips, and actually, note, you prepare a number of cantrips. That is a key change you'll notice. They now prepare their cantrips. This is an expansion on the idea from Tasha's, but it's now just like, yeah, you straight up prepare cantrips. Everything else is as it was before. So features, you first level Arcane Tradition. So Arcane Tradition. Spellcasting, it's spellcasting. Arcane Recovery, once per day when you take a short rest with your spellbook on you. You can regain spell slots of 5th level or lower with a combined level equal to half your wizard level rounded up. Same as it was before, pretty much. So, Spellbook. This kind of works as the same as it did, but you start with 12 spells in your Spellbook. 6 cantrips, 6 first level spells. Whenever you gain a wizard's level, add 2 spells of 1st level or higher, up to the highest level of spell you can cast to your spellbook for free. And at 4th, 9th, and 15th level, you can add 2 cantrips to the spellbook for free. You can also copy spells from scrolls or other spellbooks, spending an hour of ink and 50 gold piece per level of the spell, if it's 1st level or higher. Or for cantrips, it's 30 minutes and 25 gold pieces. And using 1 minute and 10 gold pieces of materials per spell in the book, you can replace your spell book. If it was destroyed, time taken is doubled. And it just means that it's 2 minutes, and you don't double the cost. That's a key thing. Tweak spells at 2nd level. Whenever you prepare your spells, you can choose 1 spell prepared at 1st level or higher that deals damage, and change any damage types it deals with another damage type not already dealt by it that is dealt by another spell you know 1st level or higher. So basically, it's a modified version of how the Scribe's Wizard does it. It's no longer the same level, and it's not with like every... And it doesn't work with cantrips anymore. It's not every cast. It's just 1 spell you prepare you can change. And it changes 1 damage type per spell. So 5th level Verse in the Arcane, plus 1d8 to all Arcana checks. Simple enough. Scribe Scrolls. While you have your spells book, it takes less time to make spell scrolls as shown below. So it's you have to look at Xanathar's to get the exact changes, but basically you're better at making spell scrolls. Simple enough. 9th level Signature Spell. You choose a 2nd level spell in your spell book. It's always prepared, and you can cast it at its lowest level without expending a spell slot, regaining the ability to do so with a short or long rest. 15th level, you choose a 3rd level spell to cast this way. Whenever you gain a level, you can change one of these spells with another you know. Spell Mastery. Choose a 1st level spell in your spell book. It's always prepared, and you can cast it at 1st level without expending spell slots. 18th level, you choose another 1st level spell to cast this way. Whenever you gain a level, you can change one of these spells with another you know. 13th, improved tweak spells. You can use tweak spells up to proficiency bonus spells you've prepared. So basically, you can change the damage types of multiple spells at once. So just you get to use it on more spells at once. Pinnacle Spell at 17th level. Whenever you use a 9th level spell slot, you gain +2 AC, attack +2 to attack rolls, +2 to saving throws, +2 to skill checks, and +2 to save DCs for 1 minute after you cast it. Basically, hey, you cast a big spell, you get a big buff. 20th, 1 with magic, simple, +2 to spell attack rolls, and +2 to spell save DCs. Yeah, it's a simple feature, but your main thing is supposed to be from your wizard tradition, which, yeah, only half of them are finished. But anyway, speaking of them, let's go look at them. So we have so the names are actually School of the blank. So it's like School of Abjurers, etc., etc. But anyway, Abjurers, Diviners, Conjurers, and Evokers are all finished. Others have one or more unfinished features. But anyway, Abjurers. So all of them have the School Savant feature, which works roughly the same. So, for Abjuration, the cost and time to copy Abjuration spells into your spellbook are halved. You can prepare an extra plus con spells of first level or higher each day, but they must all be Abjuration spells and be of different levels. So, this feature is a kind of new wrinkle added to them, which is you now have a secondary stat, which will be any stat that isn't intelligence or strength currently. So for Abjurer, they are one of the 2 con schools. So you also get to prepare extra Abjuration spells equal to your con bonus, but they have to all be of different levels. So it starts at just 1, but goes up from there. Arcane Ward. So this now comes with the passive +1 to AC, and you add your Constitution instead of Dex, as long as you aren't wearing armor. And you have your Arcane Ward, which is always active, and has a maximum pool of HP equal to int plus 2 times wizard level. Whenever you take damage, the ward takes it instead. As long as it has HP left, excess damage is still dealt to you. Whenever you take a long rest, the ward is set to 0 HP. Whenever you cast an Abjuration spell of first level or higher, the ward gains HP equal to con times slot level used. So basically, it's no longer 2 times slot level, it's con times slot level. Just to add a bit of extra scaling where at higher levels, your ward regains more HP as you buff your con. So it also adds the idea that, yeah, you have a secondary stat that you kind of care about. 3rd level, Battle Mage's Control. This is actually added to make certain spells that were added in a bit better with them. So whenever you'd push or pull a creature with a spell you cast, you can instead move them the same direction in any horizontal distant direction, or vertical if the creature is flying or hovering. So basically, if you would like push a creature 5 feet, then you can actually move them in any direction, 5 feet in any direction instead. So this is a replacement to it, and basically like you're able to push creatures around. This was added as a sort of addition to make it where A, spells that push creatures around are more useful to you, and B, there's also a few Abjuration spells, such as Ward Burst in particular, that actually push people around. So I decided it was a good idea to add something that says, hey, you know those spells that push enemies around? Well, you're actually fine using them to keep enemies close. Projected Ward at 6th level. Whenever a creature in 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use reaction to have the damage taken by Arcane Ward instead. Excess damage is still dealt to that creature, etc., etc. Works as it did before. Improved Abjuration. Add plus prof to spellcasting checks of Abjuration spells you cast, such as Counterspell and Dispel Magic. Same as was before, pretty much. Spell resistance. You have advantage on saving throws against spells, plus int AC against spell attacks and take half damage from spells. Basically just added the AC buff against spell attacks because it kind of made sense. Like, oh, you have a bonus to saving throws, and you have the spell attack defense. Master of Abjuration, double the HP your ward regains when you cast an Abjuration spell, and it also has half HP after a long rest. So basically your ward is much more powerful, gains a lot more health, and actually starts with health now. So that's Abjuration. Kind of what it was before, actually, but tweaked a little. School of Conjurers. So School of Conjurers, they have Conjuration Savant at first level, which works kind of like Abjurer Savant, except it's based off of Wisdom instead of Con, and it's specifically with Conjuration spells, of course. So the Savant features are straightforward enough. Minor Conjuration. You can use a standard action to summon an inanimate object in your hand or an open space in 10 feet of you that is no bigger than 3 feet on the side and weighs 10 pounds or less that looks like an inanimate object you've seen before. Object is magical and sheds dim light in 5 feet of it. Object disappears after an hour or when you use this feature again. This counts as a Conjuration cantrip. Basically just decided that it's like, hey, here's a special cantrip that you get. Pretty much what it was before, though, except I added that this is a Conjuration cantrip, just as like because some features actually care about that. There might be other stuff that cares about it, so I added that. Benign Transposition. You can use a standard action to teleport yourself up to 30 feet, or choose another willing creature of your size or one smaller within 30 feet and teleport both of you, swapping positions. After using this feature, can't do it again until you finish a long rest or expend a spell slot of first level or higher. This counts as a first level Conjuration spell. So kind of what it was before, except I added the use spell slots to do it again. So that might have been, I don't remember if that was there originally, but anyway. 6th level Summoner's Will. Creatures you summon with Conjuration spells have +1 on attack rolls and +Whiz on damage rolls. Just a new feature that's like, hey, you're better with summoned creatures. So, yeah. Simple enough. 10th level, Focused Conjuration. Taking damage doesn't trigger concentration checks on Conjuration spells. Simple enough. Durable Summons. Creatures you summon with Conjuration spells are summoned with int times Whiz THP. So, you can actually get up to 25 THP with this, so that actually gets pretty hefty of a defensive buff towards the end. Master of Conjuration at 20th. Whenever you summon one or more creatures or objects with a Conjuration spell, you summon twice as many. Any actions to control/command them work on all things summoned by the spell. Whenever you would teleport a creature or object with a Conjuration spell, double the max distance teleported. So basically this is just, yeah, all your Conjuration spells are much more powerful. So that's how that one works. Divination. So Conjuration kind of works as it did before, except with a bit more of the summoning stuff added in. But otherwise, it's pretty much what it was. Diviner. This one has had a change. Divination Savant works with Divination spells and keys off Wisdom. Portent at first level. This feature is not what it was before. So, you don't roll d20s anymore. Whenever you finish a long rest, roll 3d6 and record the numbers rolled as portents. Whenever a creature you can see rolls a d20, you can use one of the portents and add or subtract that number from the roll. Whenever you use a portent, it can't be used again. You lose all unused portents when you take a long rest. If you used portent to subtract from a critical hit, that roll is no longer a critical hit. So, portent is changed to be very simple. So, you only roll d6s now at first, but you can always add or subtract them. It's no longer just replace a d20 roll with this roll. Instead, it's, hey, You have these 3 numbers. You can add or subtract them to any roll. Thus, every roll is always useful to some degree. 3rd level, Expert Divination. Whenever you cast a divination spell that normally takes 1 minute or longer to cast, you can cast it in half the time. This includes rituals. So you're just faster at casting divination spells. Whenever you cast a divination spell, 1st level or higher using a spell slot, the next time you would take damage before the start of your next turn, you take minus whiz damage from that source. Yeah, this has been nerfed. You no longer get spell slots back with this, because that is kind of powerful, especially with the advent of Mind Spike. So no, you no longer refund spell slots. That's not what you get anymore. 6th level, Improved Portent. Whenever you roll a 1 on a portent die, re-roll it until it rolls a 2 or higher. So basically, you can't roll 1s on portents anymore. So it's always a 2 or more. Simple enough. 10th level, the Third Eye. You can use a standard action to enhance your sight for 4 hours, choosing one of the following options. Dark Vision in 60 feet, plus 30 feet if you already have Dark Vision. Actually, make that plus 60 feet. Ethereal Sight. You can see things on the ethereal plane in 60 feet of you. Greater Comprehension. You can read all languages. See Invisibility. You can see invisible creatures and objects in 30 feet of you. 14th level. Greater Portent. Roll 3d10 instead of 3d6 for portents. That was changed because of the portent change, of course. Master of Divination at 20th. Third Eye now grants 2 bonuses instead of 1. Improved Portent now rerolls until you get a 3 or higher. And you have +1 to AC into all saving throws. So, kind of a simple, here's a bunch of buffs ability, but hey, it is what it is. And it does actually, like, you are a master with all your abilities, specifically Improved Portent, Third Eye, and yeah, it's simple but effective. Enchanters. So, 1st level, Enchantments Font, works with enchantment spells, and is based off Charisma. Hypnotic Gaze. As a standard action, you can choose a creature in 30 feet of you, force them to make a whiz save or be charmed by you till the end of your next turn. While charmed this way, its speeds all become 0 feet and it's incapacitated. Subsequent turns, you can use a standard action to extend the charm to the end of your next turn. And the charm ends early if you are more than 30 feet away from the charmed creature. It can't see or hear you, or it takes damage. If the creature succeeds on the saving throw, can't use this feature on them again until you finish a long rest. So, pretty much what it was before with some minor tweaks, I think, in rewording. But I don't know if I tweaked anything. I don't remember. I don't look at Enchanter Wizard too much. Enchanter in particular. Subtle Influence. Whenever a creature you cast an enchantment spell would learn that you tried to use magic to influence them, they must make a whiz save, using your spell save DC, or be unable to tell you did so. In addition, you can cast enchantment spells without either a verbal component or a somatic component. Your choice each time you'd cast one, minimum of 1 component. So if it's already got just a verbal or somatic component, you don't get to do it without either. Instead, like if it has a verbal and somatic component, you can just remove 1. Instinctive Charm. When a creature you can see in 30 feet makes an attack roll against you, you can use a reaction to force it to make a whiz save using your spell save DC, or it must change the attack's target to a creature closest to them that isn't you or themselves. They can choose which one if multiple creatures are the closest. If they can't, the attack targets themselves. On a success, the target is immune to this ability until you finish a long rest. This feature counts as a charm ability. So pretty much you're just able to redirect attacks still. Works kind of as it did before, except it also can make them target themselves if there's nothing else they can target. So it never wastes just wastes the attack. 10th level, Split Enchantments. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, 1st level or higher, that targets only 1 creature. You may target 2 creatures in Charisma times 5 feet of each other instead. This basically kind of works like it did before, but it now has a better range for a different range for how the split works. Alter Memories. When you cast an enchantment spell that charms a creature, whenever that spell ends, you may have the creature affected make an int save using your spell save DC, or forget up to 1+ charisma hours of the time they were charmed by that casting of the spell. Master of Enchantments, work in progress. School of Evokers. First level, we have Evocation Savant, which is based off Dex. You also have Sculpt Spells. Whenever you cast an Evocation spell, first level or higher, choose up to 1+ Dex creatures to be unaffected by the spell, taking no damage from it or any other effects of the spell. Third, Tweak Evocation. You can tweak spells an additional half Dex mod spells, minimum of +1, but the extra spells must be chosen must be Evocation spells. You can also use tweak spells on cantrips. So basically you have an improved tweak spells, which works in with how Evocation works. Potent cantrips at 6th level. Damaging wizard cantrips deal +int damage to each creature damaged by it. 10th level, empowered evocation. Damaging wizard evocation spells of 1st level or higher deal +int damage to each creature targeted by it. 14th, overchannel. Whenever you deal damage with a damaging wizard spell of 1st through 5th level, you can choose to make it deal max damage. The first time you use this after taking a long rest, you take no damage, but for each subsequent use, you take 2d12 per slot level bleed, force, and necrotic damage, plus 1d12 damage for each use of the feature since the last long rest you took beyond the second. This damage ignores your resistances and immunities. Master of Evocation. Whenever you'd roll damage for an evocation spell, you may reroll up to Dex damage dice and use either result. Whenever you cast a damaging wizard spell of 1st level or higher, you may treat it as if it was cast at 1 slot level higher. So basically, you just do more crazy damage. Simple, but hey, it works. But also Overchannel was kind of changed with where it's like it's not just necrotic damage now, it's bleed, force, and necrotic, so it's like you're probably not resisting that at all. School of Illusionists. Illusion Savant, based off Charisma. Improved Minor Illusion. Either Minor Illusion cantrip. Doesn't count against cantrips known or prepared. When you cast it, you can create both a sound and an image instead of just one or the other. So basically what it was before, but now at 1st level. Third, Malleable Illusions. While you have an illusion spell with a duration of 1 minute or longer active, you can use a bonus action on your turn to reshape the image of that illusion using the same parameters as before. So, simple enough, but it's a bonus action now. 6th level, Improved Phantasms. Whenever you deal damage with a lingering illusion effect from a spell, such as phantasmal spells, such as the 4 listed here, which is Phantasmal Force, Killer, Army, and Mirror. Add plus Charisma to the damage dealt. Illusory Self at 10th. Whenever a creature makes 1 or more attack rolls against you at once, or targets you with multiple auto-hit abilities at once with a single standard action, you can use a reaction to make those attacks automatically miss you. Charisma uses of this feature, regaining expended uses after a long rest. So, change the number of uses of the ability to Charisma-based, but it is what it is. Illusory Reality. And also it actually works on magic missiles now, too. Illusory Reality. 14th, whenever you create a harmless inanimate object with an illusion spell of 1st level or higher with a duration of 1 minute or longer, you can choose to make that object function as if it was real and not an illusion for the spell's duration. You can only use it on 1 object per spell. You can also use a bonus action to make the object no longer real and or make another object made by the spell real. So, kind of works as it did before, but the idea is basically it now lasts for the entire duration of the spell, so rather than just be like, oh, hey, it lasts for this duration, even if the spell lasts longer. It's like, no, it lasts as long as the spell lasts. Master of Illusion, unfinished. Work in progress. Necromancy. Necromancy Savant. Cost and time to copy necromancy spells. Halved and stuff. Yada, yada, yada. Based off con this time with the Savant feature. Undead Minion. So, this is a massive box of text basically saying, hey, you know Beastmaster? Yeah, this basically works like Primal Companion, except it is an undead minion that's either a skeleton, wraith, or zombie minion, and uses your prof and int instead of prof and whiz. Yeah. It's just like, hey, you get a constant undead companion now. That's all it is. And it's at first level too. So it's like, hey, you're a necromancer. You're supposed to be summoning a bunch of undead. Hey, here's a free undead to add to your army at all times. So, yeah, it's just a simple but cool idea that's like, yeah, here's something cool for you. Don't have the stat blocks for them yet. Need to work on them in the Primal Companions. But the idea is that, like, the skeleton's going to kind of be weapon-based to a degree. Zombie's going to have, like, a lot more durability compared to the other two. And then the Wraith is going to have, like, some more mystical stuff. That's the idea right now. Third, Grim Harvest. Your second level feature, now at third. And also, if you use a Necromancy spell, it's con time slot level. And overhealing is converted to THP. And you can heal your undead minion with this. So, yeah. It's pretty much what it was before, except it's been buffed a little bit. Sixth, Undead Thralls. Whenever you cast Animate Dead, you can target one additional corpse to create a zombie or skeleton with. Undead you create or summon with your spells or features, including your undead minion, have the following bonuses. HP is increased by your wizard level, and they have plus con to damage rolls. Simple enough. Kind of what it was before, except you no longer automatically get Animate Dead. But there are other spells you can get, and like giving you Animate Dead at 6 was kind of odd anyway. Inure to Undeath. You have resistance to necrotic and poison damage, and your HP maximum can't be reduced. Just add the poison damage there because, why not? Some necromancy spells dealt poison damage anyway, so yeah, you get that now. 14th, Command Undead. As an action, you can choose an undead creature you can see within 60 feet of you. Must make a charisma save using spell save DC, or it becomes friendly to you and obeys your commands until it dies or you use this feature again. Undead with int 8 or higher have advantage on the saving throw. Undead with int 12 or higher that failed initially can repeat the save at the end of each turn, and effect early on a success. Master Necromancy at 20th level. Work in progress, sadly. So, Transmuters. Well, okay. Transmutation Savant, based off Dex. Minor Alchemy. Can spend 10 minutes to convert wood, stone, that's not gemstones, iron, copper, silver, lead, or steel into another listed materials for up to Dex hours. You can transmute 1 cubic foot of material per 10 minutes spent transmuting this way. This 10 more minutes. This can be used to make weapons and ammunition silvered for the duration. And you can transmute up to Dex objects or up to 5 times Dex pieces of ammunition at once. Third level, work in progress. Have no idea what the craze is to do with this build, because it's just a mess. It's jank, and I accidentally dropped my cup, so that should be fine. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. Anyway, Transmuter Stone at 6th. During long rest, create a Transmuter Stone. Tiny magical object that weighs half a pound and is considered a spellcasting focus. So any spellcaster can use this as a casting focus, and it lasts until destroyed, or you create another stone this way. And choose one of the following effects, which any creature with the stone on their person benefits from. 60-foot dark vision, or their dark vision's range increases by 60 feet. Plus 10 feet to all speeds while unencumbered. Proficiency in con saves. Or resistance to one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. When you cast Transmutation of spell of first level or higher, you can change the effect of the stone if it's within 5 times dex feet of you. So no longer has to be on your person to change it when you do that, but so long as it's relatively close, so other creatures can use it easier. 10th level, Shape Changer. Cast Polymorph on yourself without expending a spell slot, but can only become a beast to CR 1 or lower. You have dex uses of this feature, regaining them all with a long rest. So this has actually gotten more uses, but I think it might have been originally like it was short rest based. So now it's like, hey, it's long rest, but you have dex uses. 14th level, Improved Transmuter Stone. Use a standard action, destroy a Transmuter Stone. Do one of the following. Major Alchemy. You can spend the next 10 minutes to transmute one non-magical object no bigger than 5 foot cube into another non-magical object of equal value of less of similar mass and or size. So this is pretty much what it was before. Panacea. Choose a creature in 5 feet of the stone. Remove all curses, diseases, and poisons on the target, and they regain HP equal to half their max HP. Restore life. You can cast Raise Dead on a creature in 5 feet of the stone without expending a spell slot or knowing the spell at all, because how could you? You must still have the material component, though, so you don't get to skip that costed component. But, yeah, it's still a useful thing to have. Restore Youth. It's the last one. Choose a creature in 5 feet of the stone. Their parent age is reduced by 3 to 10 years. Doesn't extend their lifespan, nor can it reduce their age to below 13 years old, or whatever their age of maturity is for their race. I'm going to add physical maturity. The Master Transmutation. No idea what to do with this subclass, so it's work in progress. Transmutation is just weird. I wish I could have finished it, but I haven't. It's just a mess. And now we go to the spell list, which, yeah, there's a lot. So, not really going to talk about every spell, or like the new and 5e spells. Just going to mention the errata in new and 5.5 spells. So, the cantrips. Resistance added in to give an extra abjuration option. Energy Ward, just Blade Ward, but energy damage types. Ward Strike is a new abjuration spell that is basically like you strike a creature close to you or someone with an active abjuration spell. You should have already seen this, actually, because it was in the cantrips video. But, yeah, and that's actually one of the ones that was designed with, that Battle Mage's Control was designed for. Evocation, and this is also organized by school, so that's why it kind of looks weird compared to others. But anyway, for Evocation, we have no eroded spells, actually, because they pretty much had all the ones I wanted. The only exception was like Eldritch Blast, but I didn't add it to Wizard. Electric Bolts, it's lightning damage at range, spell attack, kind of a firebolt but with lightning. Frozen Slash, Slowing Blade Spell, Kinetic Lance, Line of Force damage, Poison Bolt, attack roll that also comes with a subsequent saving throw for some poison damage twice. Thunderburst, 5 foot AoE thunder damage, simple enough. For enchantment, there was the Encode Thoughts, which was just eroded to actually be available to people. Vicious Mockery has been brought over, so it's no longer exclusive to Bard, and you no longer just have Mind Sliver as an option. Illusion, you have the new Phantom Blade spell, which is Illusionary Dagger you can attack people with. Transmutation, there's Wind Blast, which is just a cone of wind that blasts foes back. Divination, there is Guidance now, which is just, hey, here's a divination spell that's actually useful as a cantrip. Yeah. Conjuration, you have Produce Flame now, so you get a light that you can throw as an attack roll. So simple enough, but hey, it's cool, especially for conjurers. Bone Talon is the new Necromancy spell, which is just, hey, you hurl a talon of bone that deals piercing and necrotic damage. So, for first level spells in Abjuration, there is Armor of Agathis, which is a new defensive spell added in to just diversify your arsenal and kind of give you a way to do more damage with Abjuration spells at first level. Evocation, you have Chill Strike, which is single target slow. Simple enough. Lightning Strike, small version of Call Lightning, which, as you'll see, is actually much more powerful than you'd expect it to be on Wizard, but it's still like a first level 5-foot AoE spell as well. Sunblast, Cone of Light, that semi-blinds your enemies, while also being like a new light-based spell. And is actually like the first level sun spell now. Enchantment, you have Command and Dissonant Whispers, both of which were added to kind of diversify the arsenal and give them a more complete toolkit of enchantment spells, including two that, like, because these two I feel like you should have them baseline. But anyway, there's also Mind Blast, which is a just small AoE psychic damage that kind of hinders opponents as well. Simple enough. Nothing new for Illusion, because they already had the two I wanted. Transmutation, you get Create or Destroy Water, just to expand the utility of transmutation spells you have. Now you also get Earth Spike, which is just hurl a spike of stone at somebody for big damage. Divination, you have Detect Good and Evil and Detect Poison and Disease. Once again, to round out their arsenal of divination spells. You also have Borrowed Knowledge, but that's because it got moved over. Then there's Anticipate, which is deal some light damage and also gain a defensive bonus against the target for the duration. So, like, you're protecting yourself from the target while also damaging them. Conjuration, there is Mage Sword, just summon a long sword that you can use to swing at people. Summon Sentinel Spirit, which is going to be like a, hey, here's a simple companion to aid you in battle as a conjurer. Necromancy, Inflict Wounds has been eroded over here so that you have the full Necromancy arsenal you could want. And then Soul Strike, yeah, here's a spell that, like, yeah, you deal self-damage to yourself, but it hits really hard, especially if you kill yourself, which I think for Necromancer is actually, like, one of the best things you can do is actually kill yourself with it. Especially if your target is low enough to be killed, because what will happen is you use Soul Strike, so it's extra damage and it's double damage and accuracy hits. And if you're at third level and you kill the target, you've just triggered Grim Harvest, meaning that you actually heal yourself afterwards. So it's certainly a fun thing that you can kill yourself and then heal up, which I think is definitely a fun thing that you're going to be able to do. That the dream is to do that, but I also totally didn't realize you could do that till just now. Anyway, second level abjuration spells. Hey, you actually have abjuration spells that at this level. Whoop-de-doo. It's Pass Without Trace and protection from poison. Not so, both like useful spells that they have their uses. Then there's Arcane Minds and Ward Burst. Arcane Minds is just a trap spell at second level. It's like designed for mid-combat as a trap spell. Ward Burst, blast enemies around you or a ally with an active abjuration spell. Though I might also add it to where you can use this on Arcane Minds and such. But anyway, this is another spell that was designed with or that was designed caused the design of Battle Mage's control. So you can use this and pull enemies closer to you if you want. Evocation, nothing new because they don't need anything more here. Enchantment, though, at second level, there's Calm Emotions and Enthrall, both of which are spells that kind of fit into the arsenal. Transmutation, no new illusion spells at all. Second level was fine with them, so no need to add anything. Transmutation, Heat Metal, because you didn't get that for some reason, which is kind of sad because it's a fun one. Divination, there's Fine Traps. Once again, rounding out your arsenal of divination spells. Conjuration, you get Dust Devil now, which is one that you didn't get previously. That's just like, hey, there's a useful spell. You also have Elemental Wisp, which is like an elemental buddy who deals some damage to stuff for you. It kind of helps you in combat and with elemental spells. I think this is going to be more popular with Evoker than it is going to be with Conjurers, by the way. Mage Bow, summon a bow of magic that just... It works like Mage Sword, but with a bow. That's what it is. Necromancy, you have Life Drain, which is steal life from your target. Like, it's not rocket science. Think we all know what that does. So, third level. Abjuration, nothing new to 5.5. Evocation, though, Daylight and Wall of Wind. Wall of Wind is also renamed from Wind Wall, but let's be honest. That name is weird. Because it's the only one that's not Wall of Blank. It's Blank Wall. Like, what? But Daylight's also added, like, just to add some more, like, non-combat evocation spells. Then there's also the new spells, Cold Snap, Kinetic Slam, and Sunbolt. Cold Snap, big single target freeze. Kinetic Slam, slam a target with force and knock them around. Sunbolt, big blast of light that blinds the target. For enchantment, there is Mind Bomb, which is just psychic AoE. Simple enough. Illusion has Phantom Barrage, which is just a rain of like illusory arrows that acts kind of like a Conjure Volley, but is illusionary. So it's psychic damage and stuff. Transmutation, we get Elemental Weapon, Meld into Stone, Water Walk, which are three that, once again, you didn't get for some reason. Like, you got Magic Weapon, but why don't you get Elemental Weapon? That one just doesn't make sense, so it's here. Divination, nothing new because there's really not anything else. There might be another new spell added to Divination. I don't know, but right now there's not. Conjuration. Call Lightning is here because why not? It also works well with getting Lightning Strike. Create Food and Drink. Yeah, this is a spell that, like, oddly you don't get, even though that's a classic thing to do. But at least you get it now. Hunger Vidar is here, partly to break exclusivity and partly because it's just a hilariously fun spell. It's like, hey, here's a lot of damage for you. And Spirit Guardians was added to kind of mix in with having... Well, they didn't get the Spirit Shroud, but you get Spirit Guardians as well. Just like a kind of Necromancy-themed spell that kind of fits in. Then with Necromancy, you get Bone Spear, which is just Lightning Bolt, but bones. Fourth level, you've got Death Ward and Freedom of Movement for Abjuration. Partly it's just like extra defensive spells to have. Evocation, nothing new to 5.5. Illusion, enchantment, nothing new at all. Illusion, you get Phantom Chasm, which is just drop enemies prone, make them think they're falling for a time. Transmutation, you get giant insect because, like, you make other stuff big. Why can't you make bugs big? Divination, you have Sight of Doom, which is just frighten a target with visions of doom and destruction, because why not? Conjuration, you get Conjure Woodland Beings, because I believe you have other stuff that lets you summon Fae. Yeah, you have other summon Fae stuff, so here's more summoning Fae stuff. Necromancy, Shadow of Moil, which you didn't get for some reason, even though you're supposed to be one of the prime Necromancy classes. And Soul Burst, it's Soul Strike, but an AoE, which works just as good with your Grim Harvest. So, 5th level, Abjuration. Anti-Life's Shell, Circle of Power, Dispel Good and Evil. Basically just more like Abjurer stuff. So, Dispel Good and Evil's here to be like, you know, your wizards are adept with magic, and like, it's just the thing that you get. Evocation, there is Maelstrom eroded in. So if you wouldn't be like a title wizard, that's now a lot easier. Thunderbolt Strike, big thundering explosion. I also think I'm going to have lightning in the center. Enchantment, nothing new at all. Illusion, you have Excise from Sight, which just makes an ally disappear to an enemy. So, and it's you or an ally, so you can either choose yourself or an ally if you're feeling selfless, or an ally really needs it, alternatively. Whatever the situation calls for. Transmutation, there's Crushing Boulder. Summon a giant boulder and just crush your enemies with it. Because why not? Conjuration, you get Summon Guardian, which is kind of just a big, like, mystical guardian summon. So, simple enough. Necromancy, last. Divination, there's also nothing new. Necromancy, finally, we have Contagion, which is brought over because it's like, hey, here's another Necromancy spell you didn't get that kind of makes sense for you. Bone Shards, meanwhile, just a barrage of bones in front of you that just pelt everything unlucky enough to be in front of you. 6th level, meanwhile, you have, for Abjuration, Forbiddance and Primordial Ward, which is just big defensive spells that you didn't get before. That kind of makes sense with them. Evocation, meanwhile, you have Blade Barrier, because why not summon a wall of blades to damage your foes? You also have Arcane Barrage, which is the first of the just pelt a bunch of enemies with magic missile spells. Dancing Flames, which is an upgraded Burning Hands, which is an ally-friendly Burning Hands. That's what it is. Enchantment, nothing new to 5.5. Illusion, Phantasmal Army, basically just a mass phantasmal force, and just summon a bunch of phantasms to target multiple enemies and frighten them all. Transmutation, meanwhile, you get Bones of the Earth, so you can summon massive earthen pillars. And you also have Earthen Shards, which is just send multiple blasts of stone that impale your foes. Divination, you have Find the Path, which is one you didn't get before that kind of rounds out your Divination arsenal. I think that's actually one of the last ones. In Conjuration, there is Conjure Fae, which is brought over to you because you had Summon Fae, so now you have Conjure Fae. You also get Summon the Horde, which is summon all the allies. And I've made this joke many times, but it's just Avengers Endgame. Necromancy, meanwhile, you get Harm, because why not cast a spell that just does a bunch of harm to your opponent? 7th level, Abjuration. We have True Shield, which is just hey, it's just a better shield that's like, nope, your attack doesn't hit at all. Evocation, you have Firestorm, which is just brought over because it's kind of sad you don't get that. Thundering Burst, meanwhile, not sure what I'm doing with this spell, honestly, anymore. Thinking about it. It's just another big Thunder Burst. Enchantment, Dominate Crowd, just a mass domination spell. Simple enough. Transmutation, Grivitic Slam. Bring a target into the air and then slam them back down with great force to crush them. Divination. I just realized that's supposed to be new. That's a new spell. Wait, no. Was it this? Yeah. Weave of Fate. That's a new spell where you just get the ability to alter fate of those around you constantly. Conjuration. Nothing new to 5.5. Necromancy. Nothing new to 5.5. 8th level, Abjuration. Nothing new at all. Evocation. You get Earthquake, which is one you were missing. It's like just the ultimate display of wizardly power. Just causing massive earthquakes, because why not? Charged Bolts. Delayed Blast Fireball, but for Lightning Bolts. Simple enough. Nothing new for Enchantment at all. Illusion, you have Mirrored Phantasm, which is the final phantasmal spell. But it is actually a very simple one in that it just mirrors your opponent. And it has the same attacks as it. So basically it's like they're fighting Dark Link suddenly. It's kind of what I would describe it as. Transmutation, you have Glibness brought over, because, yeah, why not? Not many 8th level transmutation stuff anyway. There's also Elemental Ascension, which is just all the investitures at once, because why not? Conjuration, nothing new, and there's no divination spells, actually, which I might rectify. But anyway, Conjuration, get Summon Allies. Which actually, wait, no. I derped. Summon the Horde is actually summon a bunch of stuff at once. Summon Allies is Avengers Endgame. I don't know why I derped that. I apologize. Necromancy, nothing new to 5.5. 9th level, not much has changed, actually. Heck, you actually get 5 of the 6 new spells thus far. Abjuration, nothing new. Evocation, Acidic Surge, Glacial Surge, and Magic Missile Storm. So you get Acidic Surge, which is like just a wave of acid to melt your opponents with. Glacial Surge, just a massive freeze in AoE. Magic Missile Storm, pelt every enemy nearby with a ton of magic missiles. As in, like, a ludicrous amount of magic missiles. Enchantment, nothing new. Dreamscape is the new illusion spell, which just your target is in a dream world temporarily and is stuck there until they can escape mentally. Transmutation, you have Weapon of Legend, which just you make a magic weapon the ultimate weapon of all. Basically, it's like you create kind of an artifact of sorts where it's like, hey, your weapon becomes super awesome. Nothing new in Divination. While Conjuration, Storm of Vengeance has been brought over to bring in more like awesome power abilities and break exclusivity on it. Necromancy, meanwhile, nothing new to 5.5. Alright, so that has been the Wizard. Real quickly, I do want to state a thing on 1D&D. I'm going to keep doing this project. I might make a modified 1D&D, but this is going to stay pretty much what it was originally. Mostly because they're kind of both playing in the same space, and I'll continue making my 5.5, but there might be some changes to accommodate one D&D stuff, but we'll see about that. Don't have much on it yet, at least about the classes, so this is going to stay what it is, and it's still like an expansion of 5e. But anyway, without further ado, hope you enjoyed this video, even if it wasn't of a finished class. If you do have some ideas for stuff that I could use for Transmutation Wizard in particular, or just any of the final features based on what I've already done, you're welcome to comment below and say that. But anyway, without further ado, see y'all next time. Halo Zoo out.